It's a great day as we move through the Central Oregon town of Bend, and it's time for a quick Walmart vacation. All set in the car while it goes on. From there, we move on. The next sight we see is the sun majestically sinking behind the Steens Mountains as we're getting close to where we're going to spend the night at Annette's property in southeast Oregon. We reach there right as the last of the sunset is going on. And so then the next morning at first light, we'll continue on our journey southward. There's a slight breeze blowing as the sun rises above the desert. We we rattle down our bumpy road till we get to a gravel road and then Highway 95. The Steens Mountains are standing tall in the background, majestically decorated with a new coat of snow on the very top. We hit Highway 95, go into Nevada, and then on. South from McDermott toward Winnemucca. Then we get into some farmland and see trees decorated with their best of fall colors. And then on down past Walker Lake and on south. Our little V6 motor pushes us past some of the prettiest colored trees you've ever seen, and then past the world's largest ammunition depot at Hawthorne and on through the desert mountains south, past the dilapidated housing and the junkyards and the brothels. We push southward toward Las Vegas on Highway 95, which has basically died. Another brothel, which was at one time closed but now reopened. I just wonder about the characters that own those brothels and their customers. I don't know what their customers' wives think of them stopping there on their way through on 95. By now, the keeper of the stars has already put the sun away as we go through Sin City. We're not even going to stop in Sin City. No one seems to want to sin tonight. From Las Vegas, we push on, but we find at Needles, California, we have one headlight burned out tonight. So for safety's sake, we're going to get a motel in Needles, California, and then we go over into Bullhead City, Arizona, and fill up with gas. We saved close to $2 a gallon on the gasoline. We get the headlight repaired the next morning, and we move on through the big Imperial sand dunes, and they're having some kind of a convention here, and there's every kind of toy you could think of to ride here. I don't know what they get out of it, but it must be what they call fun. When we see all the sand dunes and all the contraptions they have out here running on them, we even see some of them that have ran into each other. So they had a toy wreck out here. I hope no one was hurt too bad, but I guess they get hurt on a regular basis out here, tearing up and down those sand dunes. That many people, I guess, that probably you're going to have accidents. It's just a fact of life. They're just working too hard to have what they call fun. Fun must be a lot of fun because they're sure out here going like wild men. The spot where we're going to camp is real close to this spot where the sand dunes are. It's right at the edge of the sand dunes, and then just a little ways from us is the fertile farmland of the Imperial Valley. They call it the breadbasket of the world. We go to a little hot springs here. It's a hot well drilled by General Patton to train tanks for North Africa during World War II. And the hot water still pours out of the ground, and we can use it. The next morning, as the keeper of the stars pushes the sun up in the sky, we need to remember what we're here for, and that's to go to Mexico and get a little bit of dental work done. We find that the price is much better than at home, and the quality of the work seems to be better. So it pays us to go to Mexico to get our dental work done. So we're going to Alcodones, Mexico. While I'm waiting for Marge and Julie to get their dental work done, I go next door and get a haircut. Marge claims I need one.
Pues córtale el pelo.
¿Quiere video?
Ya, pues yo creo que ya. Let's see how if it works.
Yeah, it worked. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Let's see.
And I'll see about that.
After the dental work is done, we go back to our campsite out in the edge of the Imperial Dunes, right next to the giant Imperial Valley, and where we're camped. We look around to see if any sidewinders have been here. Sometimes we see the tracks where the sidewinder.
We're going on a hike over at the desert.
We hike in an area that was one time used by General Patton to train tanks for the campaign in North Africa. After our hike, they decided they needed a Walmart vacation, so we headed in to the Brawley Walmart. We go past this giant feedlot which has like 25,000 head of Holstein cattle here being fed and fattened up. When people are having so much fun, there's bound to be a time or two when things don't go right. This guy got stuck in the sand, but that was a simple fix. He was pulled out in no time and went on his way. Our dental work took only one day, and then it's time for us to move on. Julie has reservations to fly out of Las Vegas in a couple days, so we've got a couple days to use up. So we head on up north till we come to Route 66. From the sand dunes to the cotton fields, we move north, and it looks like there's another Walmart vacation at hand. So I guess I just have to grit my teeth and put up with it. But it didn't last too long, and then we're back underway again. We follow the windy little road up into a canyon to the little living ghost town of Oatman, Arizona. It's the home of all the Burros. And wow, what a place it proves to be. We go along the little windy road into this old ghost town, which is now sort of a tourist thing. but it was worth the little trip up to it. Everything is sort of traditional, old-fashioned, and you can buy souvenirs and different things you would like, and even feed the burros. They want you not to feed them the things from your car, but to feed them some of the pellets that they will sell to you. They sell you a little bag of them for about $1. You can buy petrified wood and about any kind of stone you want. The petrified wood shown here doesn't look to be as good a quality as what we're used to digging, but just the same, it's very nice. You take a lot of pictures here and look through all their jewelry and rocks they have for sale, and some very pretty turquoise stuff. Out on the streets of town, it's quite obvious who the heroes of this town are, and they have 4 feet and a fuzzy coat, and they are known as Burros. This one didn't exactly look real friendly then with those ears laid back, but they are sure game for those alfalfa pellets, and they're probably a lot better for 'em than feeding 'em junk food. They look real slick and not in real good shape. Those alfalfa pellets must be really good for 'em. As you pass by burrow after burrow, they check to see if you have some alfalfa pellets. They can smell 'em if you've got 'em, and if you don't have alfalfa pellets, they're pretty much done with you. The little guys that teeth aren't hard and good enough, that must have been the mayor laying down the laws of the town. The early miners brought the burros in to work for 'em, and then they left, and the burros stayed, and they're doing great here. The town of Oatman was named after a woman named Olive Oatman that the Indians stole her and captured her, and they kept her with them for a while, and then they traded her for some beans and 2 horses to another tribe, and later they released her. She was a white girl that they captured, and they tattooed her face all up, which she had to carry the rest of her life. We crossed the bridge and went over along a reservoir on the Nevada side to camp. It's called Telephone Cove. It was real nice that evening, and we walked around and saw some very tall reeds. The reeds were taller than I, and we saw...
Yeah.
Sacred area. Grapevine Canyon, located within Spirit Mountain, is one of the earliest and largest petroglyph sites in southern Nevada. This remote canyon is sacred to the Yuma and Numic-speaking tribes indigenous in this area. To this area,
the rocks in this area have a black oxide all over them, which makes the petroglyphs show up really good. So this was an excellent place to make petroglyphs. They are somewhat different from what we find in other places farther north, but that's what you would expect when you get this far south. This is about as far south as you can go in Nevada and still find petroglyphs. There's just been thousands of hours of work that Stone Age man has done to decorate this place. I haven't figured out how to interpret most of these things that are carved deeply into the rock, but I guess we don't need to interpret them just to enjoy them. And in some cases, this is their only written language that is left. So they're very valuable for study of these people, what they were thinking, what they were doing, and what their religious practice were. They're all included in this artwork. On both sides of the canyon, there's artwork. This is especially nice. It's a group of the mountain sheep, which we find in sites even farther north. Mountain sheep were a very important item for them to hunt, and it looks as if there's some Christian crosses. There's some cholla cactus just down below where the main petroglyphs were that would make you cringe, thinking of all the thorns if you'd happen to fall into one of them. Then we go down to where we find another form of cactus. We go on, and there's a tarantula making his way out across the southern Nevada desert. It's the time of year when they do quite a bit of migrating down across the desert areas. We see stacks of rocks that Mother Nature has stacked just to fascinate us. And then the yucca. Julie poses behind a large single barrel cactus, which we found several very large ones. These have to be very old, and we can see a lot of yucca in the background. I'll bet they're really pretty when they bloom. And then we see the prickly pear too, against a desert mountain covered with cactus. Even a single daisy finds its way to bloom in the desert just below the summit of a little mountain. The last year's blossom of the yucca have dried, but they're still gracing the horizon. There's a bird thinks that we parked there just for him to walk around on our car. I wonder how he'd like it if we started talking about having some bird and noodle for dinner that night. I guess karma got to us. We were only talking about having bird and noodle, and then the wind started to blow, and it was blowing like it's never blown before. It blew over Julie's tent, and it blew some of our stuff into the reservoir. Even one of our pillows blew into the reservoir, and I went down and waded out there and got it. It was pretty wet, but still it dried out okay. So we're going to fold up everything and head on our way. The reservoir was really rolling. Next, Julie has to be home for Halloween, so we're taking her in to Las Vegas to get on a big airplane and fly home. Las Vegas was very nice. It was kind of an interesting trip to go downtown, but if I could have got my hands on some of those guys with those little sports cars with those loud mufflers, he might have thought twice about roaring past me and roaring his muffler. He'd have probably been hurting pretty good. Those huge motels reach up and touch the sky as we go through the downtown of Las Vegas, along Las Vegas Avenue or the Las Vegas Strip. But We see enough by not even stopping. We're just going to buzz right on through, and we'll get Julie to that airport just as soon as we can. Even the Trump Tower stands tall in downtown Las Vegas.